Good evening, everyone. Let's go ahead with today's class. We completed up to Aphorism 50, and today we will start going further into our voyage from Aphorism 51 onwards. We are going to complete this doctrinal part of Agrawal in some couple of classes. I must say that when we thought of starting these classes, and rather we started when on 10th of the April, Hangman's birthday, it was looking as if there'll be only few classes and it will be very difficult to carry on with the program. But I'm really happy and delighted that so far so good. We are able to complete up to Aphorism 50, and today we are going to go ahead in our voyage from 51 onwards. The way I'm going in the discussion of the Ognon, they are in such a way divided as per the anatomy of the Ognon, so that one can really understand exactly that what is what and how things are proceeding. Completing up to 50 means that we have completed in the principal understanding of therapeutic law up to the point where we see the therapeutic law of similia in the interactions of the diseases. And we completed up to the point where Hahnemann made us to understand in Aphorism 50 that what are the disadvantages if we leave the suffering mankind to the mother nature, because if mother nature has the similar diseases in its hands, there are 5 points mentioned in this Aphorism 50 where it is not really going to be the welfare of the suffering humanity. Rather, we are putting them to the harshness, harmfulness of the nature, as nature has to carry on so many of the works. This may be a very, very subtle job otherwise. And not really that so many number of medicines are there within the nature which are sufficient for n number of natural diseases with which the mankind suffers. So not really the option to be given or chosen. This is what we have completed. If I take just a small recap so far we have done, that we started with the understanding of the anatomy of the organ, and we completed up to the introduction of the author, and we started with the text, the doctrinal part of the aphorisms. In that, you will see that aphorism 1 to 4 is in respect of the physician, cure, and all these important points, including the blueprint of the whole true art of healing, the rational aspect of the healing, the true rational aspect. Because the days when Hahnemann was really coming up with this homeopathy, the rationality, the concept of rationalism was in vogue. That was just based on the argument which does not apply to the art of medicine. Or rather, you can say for the art of medicine, the right rationalism is which is based on experiment and experience. And Hellman has given the whole concept of rational art of healing in Aphorism 3. From Aphorism 4 to 8, Hellman made us to learn regarding the case perceiving. It is the most principal aspect given in Aphorism 4 to 8 regarding the case taking, which is a kind of blueprint of case perceiving. And from Aphorism 9 onwards, Hellman made us to learn the concept of dynamism in health, disease, and cure. Without really understanding the concept of dynamism, one cannot conceive, understand, learn, practice homeopathy. So to say, cannot practice the true art of healing and not really going to be a salutary art practiced by such physician. He will be a physician, he will not be the physician. Now, after this, after understanding the dynamic concept, we were told by Henneman about the doctrine of principle part of underlying principle of knowing the power of medicine. And then Henneman from 22 aphorism onwards made us to understand the law of therapeutics. You can say that law which can be applicable for the purpose of curing all kind of diseases rapidly, readily, surely, and permanently. In this understanding, in this illustration, in this explanation of the law of therapeutics, Henman made us to understand in three areas. First area, he told the law of similia is applicable not only for the purpose of cure, moreover, it is been very well observed in the nature, how things are there in nature. There also you observe the stronger similar effect extinguish the weaker similar effects. And in aphorism 26, Henman gave number of examples in its footnote to extend and to elaborate the concept of 26 by the examples. After really doing so, Henman take us to the understanding of interaction of natural diseases, which includes the kind of nosodes, means the vaccinations and inoculations of the diseases. He made us to know that how when two dissimilar diseases meet together, what are the outcomes? One very clear-cut outcome is that dissimilar diseases does not cure each other. What all three conditions are doing is okay that you know, but then what actually the meaning Hahnemann wanted to make us to understand that dissimilar disease does not cure each other. Now, in this situation, Hahnemann took us to the interaction of similar diseases, and he illustrated with so many number of examples that how the similar stronger affection permanently extinguish the weaker one. But then finally he concluded in the Aphorism 50 that this cannot be the therapeutic option. And even before Hangman, right from the time man is on the earth, some or the other kind of therapeutic modalities are discovered, have been practiced, and remain in vogue since the time of immemorial, since the time man is on the earth and started understanding regarding the disease, regarding the situations, regarding the therapeutic of it. So, in that situation, Henman now starting from Aphorism 51, that let us examine what are the therapeutic modalities have been in vogue, have been in practice by the mankind for mankind. And in that, he first of all in Aphorism 51, he first of all telling us that if you go with therapeutic modalities, then let us compare the therapeutic modality leaving things on the nature as explained in 50, which is proven to be disadvantageous. And that in Aphorism 50, he told at the end after he made us to understand the interactions of the disease. But here in 51, Henman is before going to explain the concept and the illustrations of the concept of the different therapeutic modalities right before the time of Henman. Henman started first of all telling us in Aphorism 51 that what are the advantages of going with the therapeutics with the medicine, treatment with the medicine. Whether going with the treatment with medicines is advantageous in comparison to the other modality that leaving the patients to the nature. And again, here again, he told us, he gave us in 5 points, you can say, as there were 5 points in the Aphorism 50 regarding the disadvantage. On the same lines, on the same points, Henman has given us the 5 points, which includes the availability of number of medicines, the availability of natural diseases for similar purpose are quite less. Here you have n number of medicines. All the substance on the earth, below the earth, and above the earth in the sky. So many things are in the usage as medicine. So you have like n number of medicines which can be utilized. So there is no scarcity of number of medicines, number of artificial medicinal diseases. First of all. Secondly, he told us about the safety using the medications. Definitely, there are rules, there are different aspects regarding that, but then it is safe. It is not in that sense that you are going to treat the blindness with the smallpox and then you are groping in the dark how to remove the smallpox. But here, medicines are there and you can really know the duration of it. And they are safe because of this. Another point is that the dose of the medicines are in your hand, which is not really in the hand of natural diseases with the physician. And the another point is that you can expect to cure n number of natural diseases of mankind with n number of medicines available with you. But in the natural diseases, as per aphorism 50, has been told that you are not really sure how many diseases you can cure, whatever the lesser number of natural diseases available to effect a cure on the basis of law of similarity. So this is the in nutshell regarding the aphorism 51. I'm just giving you an overview of the aphorisms and the rest of the aphorisms. We can say up to aphorism number, say, just a second. Like up to aphorism number 62. Up to aphorism number 62, we all are going to learn about the different therapeutic modalities which have been in use right before the Hahnemann time. And in that, you see, from aphorism 52 to aphorism 56, Hahnemann giving us about the understanding of four types of therapeutic modalities. You learn the different therapeutic modes. What you call modes, I'm saying modalities. In that, Hahnemann first explained about the allopathic type of modalities, the medicines which are allopathically used. One X medicine can be utilized as allopathically, homeopathically, antipathically, and isopathically. So, from 52 to 56, Hahnemann is almost introducing us with all the four kind of modalities. And from 57 onwards, Hahnemann started explaining us about the antipathic mode of treatment. What? What is he explaining? He is trying to explain us that what are the effects of the antipathy. That initially it means that how good this antipathy is, but then actually in the later stage it shows severe aggravation. Then he also explained and made a comparison of antipathy with homeopathy. And after 62, giving all these effects of antipathy, comparison with homeopathy, from 63 onwards, Hahnemann very clearly explained the reasons why antipathy is harmful and why only homeopathic medicine used homeopathically, medicine used on the law of similia is only going to be curative, useful. And from 68 aphorisms to, you can say, up to 70 aphorisms, 68 and 69 aphorism is like a conclusion of the whole. And aphorism 70 is the summary of the complete doctrinal part. This is the sketch. This is the broad understanding you can just keep in your mind before we actually start with the aphorisms and footnotes proper. Now, going back to aphorism 51. In aphorism 51, I told you Henman is teaching us regarding the various advantages of using the medicines to effect a cure in comparison to leaving this suffering humankind to the natural disease, maybe of similar variety. What are those disadvantages? Let us first have a word about aphorism 51 from the table of contents. In the table of contents, he says, in the table of content, I will be reading you first aphorism 50, then 51. In 50, in table of content, Henman says, nature has but few diseases to send to homeopathic relief of other diseases. And these, its remedial agents, are accompanied by many inconveniences. You can just remind all those inconveniences, maybe five. Then in 51, he says, on the other hand, means when you use the word on the other hand, it is like you're telling something opposite to the previous situation. Henman talked about the natural diseases for the rescue of natural diseases of the patient. Quite inconvenient, quite disadvantages. On the other hand, opposite to that, the physician has innumerable remedial agents possessing great advantages over those what those natural diseases may be similar to the patient's natural disease. So this is the very first understanding of aphorism 51. Now let us go in the aphorism to learn it properly. Aphorism 51 from the aphorism text. This therapeutic law is rendered obvious to all intelligent minds by these instances, and they are amply sufficient for this end. Henman is connecting aphorism 51 with 50 and rest. Like right from 22 onwards, he is talking about the therapeutic law. He said that up to 50, from 22 to 50, what all I have discussed with you regarding the therapeutic law is rendered obvious to all intelligent minds by these instances. Now, after really going through from 22 to 50, every intelligent mind understood that which therapeutic method, which therapeutic law is only useful, is the only option if you really want to cure, if you really want to make a patient healthy. So that is why he says that whatever instances, means all those illustrations and examples I have given, this therapeutic law is rendered obvious to all intelligent minds by these instances. When thing becomes obvious, means you understood, you need not to ask and know anything else. It is obvious. But again, he is going to use the word on the other hand. See what advantages man has over crude nature in her happy-go-lucky operations. Whatever the interaction of diseases, especially the similar diseases interaction, it is a kind of nature's operation, nature's work to cure, but then this operation, this work is a happy go lucky kind. Means every time you're going to be lucky is not possible. You just cannot make it a system, a law. You cannot make it. So he says that whatever the crude nature is doing the operations of its choice and instinct over this, the usage of the medicines has got so many advantages. This is what he is going to say. But on the other hand, see what advantages man has over crude nature in her happy go lucky operations. How many thousands more of homeopathic morbific agents has not man at his disposal for the relief of his suffering fellow creatures in the medicinal substances universally distributed throughout the creation? Don't you find so many of the medicines in the whole natural creations for the purpose of utilizing as medicinal agent? And it is n number. In this sentence, Hahnemann has talked about the availability of so much of medicines you can't count. When we can't count, we can say n number. So just read again. How many thousands more of homeopathic morbific agents has not man at his disposal for the relief of his suffering fellow creatures in the medicinal substances universally distributed throughout the creature? Means he's writing not means don't you have so many medicines? Means if somebody is asking you, uh, don't you have any medicine for the viral fevers? Definitely, the question is in a very negative form, but then actually the expectation of the asking man is also yes, you have so many medicines. Same way, the same style of writing by Hahnemann is this, that how many thousands more of homeopathic morbification has not man at his disposal for the relief of suffering fellow creatures in the medicinal substances universally distributed throughout creation? And exclamation. He's using exclamation means he's saying surprisingly we have so much in comparison to the nature's happy-go-lucky operations where they have a very limited number of diseases nature has, and all the time nature is based on instinct. Nature has its instinctual intelligence which cannot be controlled over. So we have the first very advantages regarding the availability of number of medicines, for n number. Means whatever the diseases are in vogue presently, you have medicines for them. And in the nature, because there are so much of number of medicines available, that all the time existing diseases they change their pattern and new diseases are coming. Like the whole world is learning a new disease. So in homeopathy, we have all the medicines even for the new diseases which are unexpectedly going to come to the human race. So you have so much in your stock for the present and for the future. It is such a big advantage Hahnemann wanted to make us understand for the purpose of applying the homeopathic way of treatment. Then next, in in them means in these medicines, in them he has producers of disease of all possible varieties of action, for all the innumerable, for all conceivable and inconceivable natural diseases to which they can render homeopathic aid, M dash morbific agents under bracket medicinal substances. And now he puts a comma. So first of all, he says here, well, one point he says means the first is the number of medicines available. Second, he says all these medicines, they have so much of number of disease coverage of so much of number of medicines of uh, diseases that it is going to help all those natural diseases which are presently conceivable and which are presently inconceivable but in future going to be conceivable, means for all the present and the future diseases. It is so futuristic because all these medicines, all these artificial disease agents, they have n number of varieties of diseases. You just imagine, every one of us, we are using medicines, we call them polycrest. Why? Because the polycrest, a pulsatilla is a polycrest, Naxvomica is a polycrest. Those who are practicing for a longer time, they can understand for so many kind of different diseases, these medicines, these polycrests are utilized successfully. We learn all the time and we say that we are knowing these medicines even now. We are learning these medicines even now. It covers so much, so many number of diseases we never thought earlier that pulsatilla is going to cure. I utilized belladonna in so many number of cases of corona viral disease, this COVID-19. I never thought that belladonna is going to be helpful in these conditions in some of the cases. Like this, all these medicines are producers of diseases of all possible varieties of action, for all the innumerable, for all inconceivable and conceivable natural diseases to which they can render homeopathic aid. Means each medicine is having number of diseases pictures going to be matched with so many of natural diseases. We don't even have an idea. Now, whose power, when their remedial employment is completed, being overcome by the vital force, disappears spontaneously without requiring a second course of treatment for its extirpation, like the itch artificial morbific agent. Now he says here that all those medicines which we are going to use for the natural diseases, they are quite safe. They are not like natural disease, as I again and again give you an example, that curing a blindness with smallpox makes an anxiety that how are we going to remove now smallpox. Here, the medicine has got a certain duration of action, and vital force even is quite capable of removing away the artificial disease produced by the medicinal substances. So you need not to worry. Like the natural disease, he gave one example, the itch. You may use the itch for correcting asthma, all right. You can remember Aphorism 46 footnote, he gave this example. So you can use it to cure asthma like conditions. But then how will you cure itch? But in case of medicines, vital force itself is enough to remove the effect of the medicines. So this is one advantage. Artificial morbification, which the physician can now coming regarding the strength of the medicine. One that vital force is capable of removing. At the same time, the dose is in the hand of the physician, how which the physician can attenuate. The artificial medicinal agent can be attenuated by the physicians, means that the strength can be reduced by subdividing and potentize almost to an infinite extent, and the dose of which he can diminish to such a degree that they shall remain only slightly stronger than the similar natural disease they are employed to the cure. So the strength of the medicine is in the very much hand of the physician, where he can reduce the dose, he can increase the potency, and to any extent, infinite extent. We do so much of potentization, so that in this incomparable method of cure, there is no necessity for any violent attack upon the organism for the eradication of even an inveterate disease of old standing. Whatever may be the type of disease, maybe very, very obstinate chronic disease, or maybe a very mild disease, whatever may be the disease, you would need not to use any kind of violence, any kind of medicinal substance, or like nature. You are not going to use smallpox like violent disease to cure another disease. Rather, such medicines which are strong at the same time, mild, not harmful to the human being. Only curative, not harmful. So this is the safety issue, safety concern. Hahnemann told us the advantage. The cure by this method takes place by only a gentle, imperceptible, and yet often rapid transition from the tormenting natural disease to the desired state of permanent. So now you imagine you all are practicing for such a long time, or maybe for a short time. But whenever you have effected a cure in a case, you must have observed that patient after some time started looking and feeling healthy. Whether inside the patient who is now on the path of recovery and towards the cure, whether any kind of wrestling went on which made lot of noises, really you will say no, no such kind of wrestling thing has happened. So in that condition, whatever the operation of cure is going on, it is one such operation with the right medicine based on law of Simlia, having a dose very well controlled by the physician. In that case, the cure is quite gentle. It is imperceptible, even you just come to know the effect. You're unable to know that how and why changes inside has occurred. There is no noise of such changes, imperceptible, and yet often rapid transition from the tormenting natural disease. And you find that after some few days, patients started feeling so much better from a very, very tormenting, very, very difficult, very, very scorching, very, very harmful kind of disease. Like when you treat a patient who is under so much of agony of the disease, like cancer or such, when he starts feeling better without any noise and all, without any side effects of your medicine, then after seeing such a transition, patient, family, and doctor, they go into such a incomparable pleasure, and that is what is the desired state of permanent health. When you say permanent health means that you are not falling sick and sick again and again. You are restored to the health, and then you are not again and again going into the sickness. That is the meaning of permanent. Permanent does not mean that my permanent existence in the world, which is not the case, very well known to every one of us. Why not known to Hahnemann, rather such a learned person he was? So we cannot really doubt, we cannot really question the wisdom of the Master Hahnemann, that why he has used the word permanent. He is using the word permanent in context of the state of health, which is not really going down again and again. That is what. Not permanency, not in respect of the my existence, person's existence, patient's existence. Permanency in respect of the health. This is we must keep in mind and understand. So the whole of these points you must have counted. They are almost all 5 points. The advantages if you are using a medicinal substance for the purpose of cure on the law of medicine, on the law of cure, then it has got 5 such advantages, which is going to be very, very important to learn so that we can understand things in such a way that usage of the medicinal substances on the known, on the understood law of therapeutics is rather necessary, rather important, rather required. You cannot simply say that leave to the nature. You cannot say so. For which I would refer to go to the preface of the author of fourth edition, where Hahnemann told you cannot leave things to the nature. At the same time, you cannot really uh, follow the nature. If nature is trying to produce vomiting, you do also something like this to produce vomiting. That is also not a curative way of treatment. Leaving things to the nature is also not the option. And you may raise a question in the coming aphorisms 52 onwards, that in aphorism 22, when Hahnemann talked, he told us two therapeutic modes of seen in the nature, law of similia and law of contraria. But when he is talking about the therapeutic modalities from 51 onwards, in the 52 onwards, Hahnemann is talking first allopathy. And definitely he discussed antipathy. So surely it is not one and the same thing. Allopathy and antipathy are two different modalities. So why Hahnemann is in the 22 talking antipathy and homeopathy, law of similia and law of contraria. But here he is talking, first of all, allopathy. Now you just imagine, in 22, he did not named as homeopathy and antipathy. He rather named it as law of similia and law of contraria. And from 52 onwards, he is talking the words allopathy, antipathy, homeopathy, isopathy, like this. What really it indicates, it makes us to understand that in 22, what he observed in the nature. But from 52 onwards, he's talking allopathy, means Henman is talking about the treatment modalities which is being in vogue, utilized, and in usage by the man for the man. It is the operations of the treatment understood and done by or utilized by man, the medical physicians before Hahnemann or even during Hahnemann's time. So here we are talking about the therapeutic modalities discovered by the medical men before Hahnemann and during the time of Hahnemann. But 22, when he talks to law, it is the observation of the Hahnemann in the nature, and not only Hahnemann, many other like Hippocrates and others. So they are about the nature's understanding. It is the man's discovery of different therapeutic modalities, and that is why there he is saying the law of similia and the law of contraria. Here he says allopathy, and because even before antipathy, allopathy was in vogue, allopathy was in use. That is why he picked up, first of all, allopathy. And antipathy came into the usage mainly after the Galen, and that too was for some more than 1400 or 1500 years. So that is the reason that he is going in a very chronological manner. So I think I am quite clear to you that there is no point of confusions left to your mind, that why Hahnemann is talking in 22 this and 52 this. I hope that things are going to be very, very clear to every one of you, that when Hahnemann is talking, teaching something, he has a plan. He made us to understand what is there in the nature and what is there discovered by the man, utilized by the man, whether the in this 52 onwards, Hahnemann is going to examine and made us to teach. You also examine. I examined in my time, you examine your time. That whatever the methodology, treatment modality discovered by the medical man since last some 3000 or whatever may be the years before Hahnemann, the first utilized was allopathy. How far it is efficacious, how far it is useful, Hahnemann proved that. Then he made us to understand about homeopathy, that it is a treatment method, can be learned from the nature, but always and always and always ignored by the medical personalities since 2500 years, except being observed and told by Hippocrates. But then it never became a treatment modality before him. It never became a therapeutic mode. It never became a useful method. cure the patient. And then he told that from Galen onwards, that is rather we can say right from the first century, means first AD onwards, Dr. Galen came who propagated the law of contraria in a very, very strong manner for the given reasons of his time. And then he was such an influential figure in the ancient time that that became a rule for following the physicians of the next century, and that way Hellman ruled, Galen ruled and propagated, even if he was not present physically, but then his teachings continued, not for a small period, but some 1500 years, more than 1 century, means 1.5 century. It was the complete utilization of contraria. And then he explained, illustrated regarding the antipathy. And finally, he concluded that it is harmful. And at one point of time, he made us to understand in Aphorism 67 footnote that these are the areas where antipathy is really, really required. Homeopathy is not to be done. We will discuss that. And with this, he concludes with the summary that these are the points we learned as a doctrine, as a principles to be called as the homeopathic principles. On that basis, we will define the methodology, and from 71 onwards, he made us to understand the methodology of practicing this science of homeopathy for the good of the suffering humanity. And to start with that, in Aphorism 71, he first of all gave us the complete blueprint, that what is the blueprint of this methodology. So we really want that, let's be very clear with the understanding of Master Henman, that how he really wants us to learn. And I'm sure that all these lectures, all these discussions which I've been doing for last, say, more than a month, 2 months, they are going to be quite useful, helpful. I'm sure you will be all benefited with this. It is just an endeavor from my side, by the blessings of my guru, my teacher, Dr. Ellen Khan. And I'm sure it is going to be useful. And if anything you find that is not clear, is incorrect, or whatever, write me. I'm waiting for your comments. Thank you very much, everyone, for today. We will be continuing in our next class from Aphorism 52 onwards, that too regarding the allopathy. Okay? Thank you, everyone. Keep listening. Thank you.